Welcome to the Advent Calendar. Today is Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, and the title of this devotional is Waiting for Love. From the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verses 9 through 17. As the Father loved me, I too have loved you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy will be in you and your joy will be complete. This is my commandment. Love each other, just as I have loved you. No one has greater love than to give up one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I don't call you servants any longer because servants don't know what their master is doing. Instead, I call you friends because everything I heard from my Father I have made known to you. You didn't choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you could go and produce fruit and so that your fruit could last. As a result, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. I give you these commandments so that you can love each other. And from the writing of the Apostle Paul, the First Corinthians chapter 13. If I speak in tongues of human beings and of angels, but I do not have love, I am a clanging gong or a clashing cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and I know all the mysteries and everything else, and if I have such complete faith that I can move mountains, but I don't have love, I'm nothing. If I give away everything that I have and hand over my body to feel good about what I've done, but I don't have love, I receive no benefit whatsoever. Love is patient. Love is kind. It isn't jealous. It doesn't brag. It isn't arrogant. It isn't rude. It doesn't seek its own advantage. It isn't irritable. It doesn't keep a record of complaints. It isn't happy with injustice, but is happy with the truth. Love puts up with all things, trusts in all things, hopes for all things, endures all things. Love never fails. As for prophecies, they will be brought to an end. As for tongues, they will stop. As for knowledge, it will be brought to an end. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, what is partial will be brought to an end. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, reason like a child, think like a child. But now that I have become a man, I have put an end to childish things. Now we see a reflection in a mirror. Then we will see face to face. Now I know partially, but then I will know completely in the same way that I have been completely known. Now faith, hope, and love remain, these three things, and the greatest of these is love. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. I won't go on. But that song, The Rose, won Bette Midler a Grammy. There's another song, there's one called Love Stinks. There's Lucky in Love, there's Falling in Love, there's Wasting Love, there's Everlasting Love, and Endless Love. Another song that won a Grammy. The Beatles said, all you need is love. When I say love, what does it mean to you? Some of you would say, The Rose. I absolutely love that song. You see how we're throwing that word around? Our modern culture reserves love for weddings, babies, and Valentine's Day. But in his book, Love is the Way by Bishop Michael Curry, he does an excellent exegesis of Paul's first letter to those Corinthians, as only he can. by starting out talking about how it is often used at weddings. Of course. He was the featured American preacher at the most recent royal wedding. Love the sentiment, says the bishop, becomes love the sedative. It points to the sweetness of life, and it's passive and actually, for some, quite rare. The love Paul discusses here has nothing to do with weddings and Valentine's Day. As he's trying to lead this community in the way of Jesus, he has to define love because they have lost their way. You can easily see just from the passage what Paul is playing defense against. These Corinthians were tearing each other apart. They were impatient, unkind, jealous, arrogant, rude, braggarts who apparently were continually seeking their own advantage and with irritability were keeping a record of complaints, perpetrating injustice and untruths. You see that? You just take everything that love is and make the antithesis, and you understand what Paul was trying to communicate. Love in the context of the people who want to follow Jesus and keep his commandments. Remember, the beginning part was the commandment. That love is an action word, a choice that turns the world upside down. This way of love is challenging. Paul shows how vital love is, but we need to pay attention to this message because we live in Corinth. We are forever tearing each other apart on social media, in person, with our anonymous complaints and our closed off attitudes. We do it in the political sphere and in the public sphere, and even in the church. If we leave love over here like some sweet, sappy sentiment, we are never called to a higher standard. In the words of Bishop Curry, stay decent in indecent times. The way of Jesus' love will cost us something. That's why Jesus says it's a commandment in John's gospel. We remain in Jesus' love when we act with love as he did. No one has greater love than to give up one's life for one's friends. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's selfishness. The way of love puts we before me. Where selfishness excludes, love makes room and includes. Where selfishness puts down, love lifts up. Where selfishness hurts and harms, love helps and heals. Where selfishness enslaves, love sets free and liberates. Is this kind of love or way of doing love new to you? We all need a refresher on Jesus' commandments. This new love is the way. It's not easy, but it's the only way we can go. So when we sing Love Came Down at Christmas, we're not talking about the same kind of love that Karen Carpenter is singing about in Merry Christmas, Darling. We're talking about this new way of love, this radical, earth altering, self sacrificing love. Jesus, returning to the earlier point, he emphasizes the importance of this kind of love in verse 17. I give you these commandments so that you can love each other. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. What can we do to love each other? Amen.